Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this daily update. I hope you're all doing very well. Please give me a quick sound confirmation as always. And today I'm going to have a look at ES, NQ, and then Bitcoin. Since Igor is not here, we we adjusted the schedule a little bit. So I'm going to do the BTC updates on Tuesday and Thursday. So today I want to have a deep dive into BTC again because I didn't do a stream on BTC for quite some time, so I wanted to update the high time frame perspective and then go down to the lower time frames. I'm also looking at one more fractal because there is again some very similar price action, which is going to be super interesting for the coming days. So that's what I will be covering. But I'm going to start with ES and NQ. It shouldn't take too long, and it's also nice to just be prepared for the stock market as well in terms of correlations, although it's not that correlated at the moment. But yeah, it does make sense to look or watch all of it. So John Anderton, hope you're doing well. DXB Mike, Leah, Elroy, Domster 3230X786, Kafel, Simon Key, TRC, Shinos, King Smith, M. Gut, 1987, Dr. Cage, 1H, 1PS, Stefanos, Dirk CZ, hope you're doing very well. Raxto, Yo-Yo, Rashid, Sandra Bloom, couple of people here, that's nice. PS79, Kraft, Paul Sroka, the sound is good, perfect, Dr. Cage, guten Morgen. MES, nice, Urban 23, Coin Collector, Moondream is here. Hope you're doing very well. How was your vacation? Woodchopper is also here, amazing. Hope you're doing well. Very nice. Yeah, some people in the chat. So let's start with one thing that is super important for the coming week. And that is the earnings calendar. So we do have quite a few earnings, especially when we are trading ES and NQ. That is super important. Today it's not as big as the next days. Today we have Visa, then we also have Spotify. It's not going to have a massive impact on ES and NQ. But tomorrow it's going to be big earnings. So we will have Microsoft reporting earnings tomorrow as well as Meta. So that is going to be a big one. We definitely have to be aware of that. It's after the close. But that can move ES and NQ. So this is super important to update that or at least be aware of when these earnings are more or less, and then check this earnings calendar here. On Thursday, we're going to have Apple, Amazon, which is also big. Definitely have to be aware of that as well. And on Friday, we have Berkshire Hathaway. So this is, not going to move the markets too much. It is interesting though. So I'm going to have a look at that one because I do have a bet with a friend on Berkshire Hathaway. So I'm going to look at the earnings report they have. So I'm super interested to see what they have done the last couple of months. So, but yeah, that's it. So this is what we have to be aware of. And in terms of data, today we have a couple of data at 3 p.m. UK time, nothing too massive. But yeah, earnings report, super important. So let's see all of this right here on ES and NQ. So yesterday was Monday, yes, we had this nice gap to the upside. This was following the trade tariff deal between the US and EU. So that was bullish news for the market. Then we had this gap to the upside. Whenever we have a gap like this though, super high probability that it's going to be filled. Okay, so this is what we saw here on ES. The gap was filled. Yesterday we had a bit of a retracement. We can see this between 8 my time until it's actually exactly 12 hours. So from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening, the market was just retracing. And this morning we have a bit of a bounce. So yeah, overall, if we hide a couple of levels, we can see this is still a valid and intact uptrend. So this is, super bullish still. I'm still not really interested in any short trades. Doesn't make any sense if we are as strong as that. Something I want to emphasize again, which I already said yesterday, but at some point we will see a retracement. Okay. If that comes, I'm going to monitor the order flow very closely, because if I see momentum building up to the downside, because what we've seen previously is that after a massive move to the upside, like we are seeing at the moment, a retracement can be quick and violent. Okay, so this is something I will definitely keep in mind. Not saying this is going to happen today or the next couple of days, since everything is super strong still. It is just something I will keep in mind. Okay, and if we get a pullback, I'd be super excited at some point. So let's see previous day range. We have a daily open, not in an extreme quartile. Since the open, yeah, very small range. I've not taken any trades this morning because it's super slow. And yeah, let's have a look at the volume profiles, as that is not too interesting. So let's start with looking at the weekly profile, as that is interesting still. I mean, if we have a bullish market structure, as I always say, the next step is to look at the volume. Is volume following the move? And we have to clearly say, yes, it is absolutely following the move, because we can see weekly volume profile next week entirely above the previous week, then overlapping to the upside entirely above this week, although it's just Monday and Tuesday only a little bit of data, but already overlapping to the upside or entirely above, however you want to look at this. So for now, everything healthy, strong uptrend still, thus more interested in long-term pullbacks, not interested in any short trades. So if we look at this, yesterday we had the first test of the previous week value area high. Previous week point of control on that deeper pullback was slightly missed. However, we did have some really nice trades yesterday. The first trade was around here, I think. That was a beautiful bounce. Then we had another trade around the previous week value area high, and this is super important to understand this. I did explain it briefly yesterday on the daily plan, but whenever we have a weekly open outside previous week's value area, if we look at this from a weekly high time frame perspective, this is super bullish, obviously, because we can see valid uptrend, volume is following the move, and then we even get a weekly open outside. So we always have to be aware of some pullbacks at some point in time. And the first reference point on the higher time frame, which the weekly time frame is, the first reference point is always the previous week value area high. We don't have to look for a massive swing trade here, but on the lower time frames, this is a beautiful level to look at least for a scalp trade. As we can see, it was also lining up with some previous supply, so beautiful confluence. It was around the previous day EQ, and then we saw another perfect bounce to the upside. Okay, so this is not very difficult. I got a couple of questions lately on how I'm doing these daily plans, but it is basically mixing the context with some good confluences, and then also looking at the charts in a way of, if there was no level, let's just assume there was no volume profiles, nothing, just a plain chart. Do I have a reason to take this trade even with zero confluences, as that is significantly increasing the probabilities of that trade playing out? Because that means even on plain price action, if we look at a previous supply zone, this would have been a valid level. We also had liquidity lining up. So that is how I am getting to the best levels in the daily plans, which are absolutely printing money these days. So yesterday, only taken 3 trades off of these predefined levels, not a massive day. I was up 1,150, something along that lines. And this is just 3 trades, 3 predefined levels, 1 contract only, 3 wins. Do that 4 weeks or an entire month, and this is already a good result. But that being said, let's have a look at what's happening here. So the high, how does the high look? It's not the worst high, to be honest, but since we are in this uptrend, I'm not going to say this has to be the high. So mostly, I'm still looking for longs on pullbacks. Something that looks interesting is the previous day value area low, because once again, it is lining up with some supply, at least on the 30-minute time frame. I can check the 5-minute time frame and show you that it's a little bit more visible. This was an interesting level. We had support, support, flip to resistance, resistance, then broken. So there is some supply at least here, and thus this can be a good level. Okay, previous day value area low, first level of interest. The previous week value area high, in my opinion, is too exhausted at this point since it's been tested a couple of times already. I don't want to take another trade based off that level. For the previous day value area low, this is only going to be a scalp trade. But then I can see if I can keep the rest of this position open. This is the first level. So below, I'm still interested in the previous week point of control, because today it's lining up with the previous day low. So it's going to be an easy execution here. If previous week point of control offers a reaction, also lining up with an A session point of control, we manage to reclaim previous day low. I am interested in taking a trade here. So that is my next area of interest. Nothing crazy that has changed, to be honest, since the daily plan that I've done yesterday. We hit the first two levels and all of these other levels are still in play, in my opinion. The next level is going to be this naked value area low at 6,400. Something that's super important to me here is that we take the liquidity first. So we can see low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Thus, a lot of liquidity down here. For this area, I want to see the A session point of control tap. That means we take the liquidity, then reclaim this naked value area low, and I have another good long trade. So those are my three areas of interest for now. And then if we get a bigger pullback, previous week value area low is going to be a massive level. I don't want to look at these levels that are super far away though, so I'm going to keep it as that for now. And yeah, in terms of resistance, I don't think there's a good trade to be had. We are probably above the anchored VWAP, yes. In terms of confluence, there's not much. I can see a little bit of demand here, but I would have to check this on the 5-minute. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 times. This is going to be around the 7.5 as well. I'm just not that interested in any short trades at the moment. So if we find resistance, it's probably going to be around that zone, but I'm not even going to include this as an area of interest for a short trade, as overall I'm still bullish. I can see Nasdaq is already super close to the high, so we have a bit of a divergence again. I'm going to be aware of this, but not interested in a short trade yet. So that is going to be it for ES. Then I can have a quick look at the chat. Then we go over to NQ and then BTC. So I can have a quick look at ENA, because ENA, I must say, looks super interesting for day trades. Are you betting that Berkshire Hathaway have bought BTC? No, not that, but just about some investments that they made in April. So ES looks pretty similar to BTC. Let's have a look here. ES, BTC. BTC, I like to stay on the higher time frames for now. But something interesting there. So, Seth, how do you manage waiting for the predefined levels to hit? I assume you set alerts and walk away, but we follow ATAS levels rather than TradingView. So ATAS might be hit already, but TradingView not yet. So yesterday, the way I done it was I was busy planning a video that I'm gonna record, and I had a couple of other things, was still busy doing a couple of adjustments on the high time frame portfolios, and then I just saw the level was hit, and then I took the trade. But sometimes what I do is place an alert just a little bit in front of the level, so it is gonna hit my alert on TradingView, then I can get back to the PC and then take the trade. So you don't want to place the alert right at that level, because I always need about 5 minutes at least minimum to prepare myself and get in sync with the markets, then check the reaction, because I don't want to come to my PC, see the reaction already happened, and then I'm forced to take the trade without at least sensing how the level was hit, if that makes sense. And NQ is already en route to make a new all-time high, which is perfect. So let's have a look at this right here. There we go. This is the new all-time high of NQ. This is a nice. NQ also low was given yesterday, so from the low, we are up 500 ticks. Could be worse. And yeah, let's have a look. I think it's super easy to say we are still in a super valid uptrend on all metrics. We are in a super strong uptrend uptrend still on NQ. I'm going to be curious to see what's happening to NQ and the tech market after the earnings. Okay, so we have to expect bullish earnings, but we can be surprised, obviously. So it's going to be Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon. So that will be interesting. Okay, so previous day range, we can see daily open was super close to the previous day EQ, so not in an extreme quartile, nothing to do there. Yesterday we had a similar situation, gap to the upside following bullish news, then we retraced, closed the gap or filled the gap, and then we saw this nice run to the upside, about to hit 23,600, which is massive, so nice to see. And let's now go to the volume profiles here. Volume profile on NQ for the weekly time frame. Similar story to what I mentioned on ES. Weekly value is also following the move, so we have overlapping value to the upside. This week's profile is still entirely above the previous week's value area. Thus, if we test the previous week value area high, technically speaking, this could be an interesting level. But as I already covered yesterday, I prefer to see the previous week point of control hit. The reason here is that the previous week value area high is right on the supply flip that we already had. So in terms of plain price action, if we were to hide all of these levels, we can see supply once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, then broken, retested. So this trade technically already played out. I'm always thinking, would I trade this on a plain chart? And then I would say, probably the next best level is going to be at least take that liquidity. So the previous week point of control, in my opinion, looks better than the previous week value area high. But we can analyze this here. Trade yesterday was the gap fill, had around previous day point of control, previous day value area high, and everything that we had right here. So this played out beautifully. Then we had a daily open inside previous day's value area. However, we quickly broke out of this, flipped the supply into demand. The next target of a supply into demand flip, by the way, is always liquidity. It can be a previous demand zone in terms of liquidity or a high. In this case, we took the highs. So that is beautiful. And here we can already see, or we can see this again, what I mentioned here. This retest here, in terms of play and price action, I don't consider the previous week value area high the best level, is what it is. My next level of interest, which is rather far away, is the previous week point of control. Okay, so this is in terms of the day trades. That's going to be a beautiful level. Definitely interested in that. To the upside, I'm going to check what we have going on here. The previous day value area low doesn't look the best given the low structure that we have. So this is low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low. Gonna see this on the 5-minute time frame. I am expecting this to be below the .25. Yep, previous day value area low. I can take, when I'm at the PC, I see a good reaction here. Nothing wrong with taking this trade. However, as a predefined level, this is not good enough. So I'm not interested in the previous day value area low as of now. Okay, so let's see an anchored VWAP from down here. Don't really like this. Yesterday's A session point of control is lining up with previous day point of control. That must be around the CC then. 7.5's down here. Yeah, so that's going to be the CC. One more level I'd be interested in for today is this. So the previous day point of control and A session point of control looks interesting. So this morning we had the open here. There's a single print there, but I'm not going to trade it up here. So this would at least take the overnight low as well. Overnight low into that level. Yeah, this will be my first level of interest, then this down here. And key support, as I mentioned yesterday, key support for the week is going to be previous week value area low, super far away for now. But that's it on NQ, and I'm only interested in these two levels. Nothing in between, only scalp trading with momentum if I see a nice trade forming here. but I wouldn't involve myself up here, so I'm going to wait for a pullback first. My weekly value areas are slightly different. What tick size are you on the weekly profile? So for ES, I am on tick 4. On NQ, I'm on tick 8 on the weekly profile. So that's that. And yeah, that looks interesting. So this is all the predefined levels on ES and NQ for the day. And now I'm going to have a look at BTC. If you have any questions about the daily plan, let me know. And let's see this. So I have a couple of things to update on BTC. But if you remember, we had the perfect trade down here. So let's see, was it this swing long? Yes, I think this was the swing long. This was based off a bars pattern. Okay, so it's not very often that I actually look at these bars patterns, but this one played out perfectly. This is yeah, this was a beautiful trade, to say the least. And something I am currently monitoring, which I already mentioned in one of my YouTube videos, was this high time frame channel. So if we are connecting these highs to this low, we can see price currently banging on the top of the channel, trying to break out. Not that convinced yet, so it just, yeah, it is. We want to see that follow through. Preferably today or tomorrow, to be honest, because the more time we spend here, the weaker it looks, and then we might see a pullback into 111, unless we hold this, obviously. Okay, so I prefer to see a pop today or tomorrow. And it is super similar to what we have seen right here. So if we zoom out, go to the weekly time frame, we can see connecting these highs, which look super similar to those. Right, so we had this happen right here. So it was retested once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. At some point we failed, and then we tested the last supply zone that we had. So currently I'm looking at something super similar. I want to see it hold above, then I can look for follow through to the upside, potentially even hitting 130K. If we fail to do that though, I am expecting 110,000 to be tested next. Okay, so this is super interesting or important in terms of the context. And then there is something that I want to show you here, which is once again surprisingly similar. Okay, so we look at this, we had this nice run to the upside. What BTC was doing here in the range between the 9th of May till the 9th of July. This is, yeah, funny, but this is exactly 1 month. Okay, this is exactly 1 month. No, 2. July. So from May to July, this is 2 months, so 60 days. Now we can do the same, just 30 days, 17 days. Okay, but what is interesting, if we see this, we made this all-time high back in May, 111,000. We saw a retracement taking liquidity once. We formed a lower high, which we traded perfectly, right? So this long was given, short was given, long was given, so all good. But liquidity grab for the first time, then we had another liquidity grab, then we saw a nice bounce, a retest, but a super shallow retest. It was nowhere near the CC or something, and then we took off, okay? So we look at current price action, we go down to the 4-hour time frame and compare this just a little bit. We had this nice run to the upside into a new all-time high. We have done the first liquidity grab down here into the lower high. Then we have taken the liquidity once again, not a clean SFP, but then we can see this run to the upside, higher low, shallow retracement. So we need to take off now, or else I'm thinking this is starting to look a little bit weaker. For now, it looks super similar to what we've done here on the daily time frame. Over here, it's the 4-hour time frame, similar to what we had with this previous bars pattern again. Okay, so this would look at this move to the upside, liquidity grab for the upside, lower high, next liquidity grab, high, higher low, and then move up. But then we really have to go now. Okay, so this is how I'm building a little bit of a bias here. that today or tomorrow is going to be interesting, and preferably I'd like to see this range being left behind, preferably to the upside, but I have to keep this channel in mind, which we have retested here again. I just don't want to see this low lost. Okay, this is going to be majorly important. This is the daily MPOC that we had at 115,000. And in my opinion, this is the line in the sand. We don't want to see this retested again. Else, I am looking for 110,000 next, which is, yeah, about 5% drop. Okay, so in my opinion, this area down here is finished. Okay, we can say check, this is finished. We don't want to see this tested again, else we are looking for a bigger pullback. And in my opinion, the next target should be the new or a new all-time high. But for that to be in play, we want to see this go. So I'm looking at low time frame trades that could play into this high time frame idea. It doesn't have to play out, right? It doesn't have to play out, but this is how I'm building the context and thinking. We shouldn't spend too much time here again. We should now see it pop, okay? Else, it's going to be a bigger retracement. So let's see this. I'm going to update my high time frame levels and see what we have going on. So we do have a weekly that has not been tested. It was missed by a few ticks. So, all right, this was today, even a slight front run. In terms of the dailies, we do have another daily here. It is a super tight range though. Okay, so this is all the high time frame levels, and now I'm going to mark out some NPOCs. Let's see, MPOCs, I don't think there's any on the 4-hour time frame. No, but we can also see the weekly volume profiles are thickening here. So we can see this was the week of the 16th of July. This was an inside week, currently inside value again. Previous week value area low has been tested, value area high has been tested as well. So there's nothing crazy here. On the daily time frame, we do have the previous week open. So let's see. This is annoying. So we've already SFP previous day low, because I would have included that in the daily plan, as I think that was a beautiful trade. Previous day low SFP. Can't really use that again unless we have an anchored VWAP. Anchored VWAP is also higher. This is tricky. So then we have an NPOC 120, 510. 120, 510. All right. That's it. So today we had a daily open inside value, currently at the previous day value area high. Okay, let's work with this. So we do have one daily at 119. For myself, given the structure, I'm not interested in this daily. This doesn't meet my criteria of an area of interest. I'm going to zoom into this, check the volume here. Okay, so this weekly, if previous day low was not SFP'd yet, I would say we have the perfect trade at this weekly and the range value area low. The only thing that is keeping me a little bit hesitant here is the fact that we already had the perfect SFP of previous day low, perfect 4-hour candle structure, and we are already following this move to the upside. Okay. Other than that, the weekly was a perfect level. So let me just see a couple more things here. going to be the CC. I'm not even interested in that. So the only, let's start here. So the only trade I could see to the upside would be an SFP of this high, loss of this NPOC. Then I would look for a short trade up here. It's the only short trade I'm interested in. And then obviously I can have a lower target of being this 110,000 zone, but I wouldn't just keep it open. I would take profits, obviously. This is going to start as a day trade, but this could be a nice hedge. Okay, so this is a short trade I would be interested in, but I would have to see the liquidity taken here, which looks super unfinished. Overall, I want to see all-time highs, so this is my preferred scenario. That's why I would only execute this after seeing weakness, meaning liquidity grab first, lose this NPOC, do this market structure change, and then I have an entry. I wouldn't trade this aggressive because I am biased for a new high. Okay, but nevertheless, this can be, let's call it short idea, because at this point it's just an idea. Okay, so now I'm going to analyze this down here. I can keep in mind that this is also the value area low. Or do I want to keep it? Yeah, let's just keep it for now. So we are down to the 30-minute time frame. I'm going to check this anchored view up again, but it's up here. I'm a little bit annoyed that previous day low was SFP'd so perfectly, because else I would say this is a lovely trade. And this higher low trade here at 118 for the day. So technically we did not reach the value area low yet. Ah, this is scalping territory here. This would only be a scalp. I'm not going to include this. So what I'm going to do with this level down here is say we reject somewhere around the value area high. I would allow price to grab that liquidity down here. So something along that lines. We move into this SFP. Then we see this and I would take a trade based off the weekly. Stop loss, I would have to see. The first target is going to be this liquidity here. Not the first, but this is the minimum target for this trade, preferably a new all-time high. But the better trade definitely comes if we grab that liquidity at least, because previous day low's been SFP'd already. So this is going to be my area of interest on BTC for the next couple of days, unless we already move to the upside from here. Okay, so this is what I would say is a trade I am interested in myself, looking at day trades even on BTC. I'm also going to have a look at this if I was only scalp trading. So this is day trading long that I could potentially hold for a little bit longer. Starts as a day trade though, and for a scalp trade, I'm looking at this zone, just gonna double check again. Right here, so we do have the daily open lineup with this as well. No previous day value though. Okay, so I'm gonna mark out the daily open. So this is daily open. So once again, we can apply a similar context to what I'm doing on ES and NQ. Let's actually do this here. If I hide everything, is this an interesting zone? Would this catch my attention when I'm looking at zero levels and just this area? I would say yes, because we SFP'd the low, we have supply once, twice, 3 times broken. So on a retest of this area, I would say, yeah, at least we have supply lining up, so that is good. Do we have additional confluence? I have to say yes, there is additional confluence at around this zone of retesting previous supply. So it is a valid area to look at for a scalp trade. I have to be honest and say I am not scalp trading BTC just because for me the fees are too high and scalp trading is best on ES and NQ. I would prefer to get into a day trade that I could then hold for a little bit longer, because a scalp trade like this can only have a target of this maybe. So it is a 2-to-1. But for me, this trade is not worth it. I would wait for this weekly down here, which is the better level. But there is absolutely a scenario of retracing into the CC like this and then see the bounce to the upside. This is absolutely valid. I, for myself, would stay out. It is a decent confluence though. Okay, so for me, the better trade is still down here, but it looks interesting at least. My perspective is that I do want to see the highs. I want to see it go from here, exactly lining up with the fractal that I showed you. So where is it again? This one where we had the shallow retracement and then take off to the upside. This is my preferred scenario. That's why I'm also leaning more towards longs on pullbacks. So this is the only short idea I can see in between. I am not taking any short trades. And this is based off the context that this low looks finished, done the bounce, done the retest. We could now go, else it is going to be a bigger sign of weakness. So we do have some interesting opportunities in between. It does look interesting. And on the daily time frame, if we look towards this price action, if we lose 115,000, which can happen, my next area of interest is still at around 108 down to 7, which is this right here. Okay, point of control, daily, CC. Anchored VWAP is probably higher. Yeah, this is not additional confluence, but it's going to be this zone where I'm then interested in a nice swing long again. Okay, this is swing territory. Everything above is only day trades. Okay, so this is that, but at this level I already gave. Okay, so some interesting comments. We can see only Bybit made the SFP. So let us have a look at the CME, because this is something I want to have a look at quickly. And yes, for the next video, I am going to have a look at this Bitcoin dominance chart, because this is what was requested. So this is the CME. Let's have a look at previous day. We can see that over here it was not SFP. We also had this gap. Ooh, lovely. This gap was filled and then we had got the bounce.